Hi everyone, welcome to another video. Today I am joining the Homeschool Show and Tell Open Collaboration playlist once again. This is hosted by Jessica from The Waldock Way and Abby from Rooted in Rest, and it is a bunch of other homeschool YouTube moms who are posting videos today on a certain topic. And for the month of February, that topic is our top 3 tips or resources to have a successful homeschool.
You look so beautiful, and I'm so lucky to be yours. And you're taking me high. Ain't nobody like you.
Okay, I have thought long and hard about this because I could talk about this for hours and it was really hard to narrow it down to 3 tips that I have. So definitely if you're looking for tips in this arena, go to the playlist link in my description and watch the rest of these when you're all done here. And make sure you click the thumbs up and subscribe if you find this helpful at all in any way, or share this video if you think other people could find it helpful. I've kind of decided to go a little bit of a different route, and I have a feeling that a lot of the videos here are going to be talking about practical homeschool successful tips. I could be wrong, I'm just guessing, but I want to gear this more towards the newbies in the homeschool world. And the reason why is because I have a friend who literally recently decided to pull her kid from public school and start homeschooling, and I've been helping her along the way, which is a huge passion of mine. And I want to have these 3 tips be for those of you who either are considering pulling your children from traditional school and just haven't been confident enough to make that decision maybe, or you have decided and haven't pulled the trigger yet, or maybe you just started either because your kids are just now of the age where they're starting, or because you already pulled them out of a school system to start. So that's what my 3 tips are going to be geared towards. They could still be useful in any other scenario, but it's geared towards you. Tip number 1 is to get in the right mindset. And this is so important with everything you do in life. I feel like when we build a house, we have a foundation first. There has to be a solid foundation, or everything above it is going to crumble. You can make it look as pretty as you want, as put together as you want, but without a solid foundation, none of it's going to matter. That's true in financial life, that's true in building and physical things, that's true in so many things, and it's definitely true in homeschooling as well. And I don't think this gets talked about enough, but I think you're always going to have fears and question whether you're doing like enough, or whether your kids are learning enough, and possibly have some doubt creep in. You're going to have hard times in your homeschooling journey and easy times. It's going to be an ebb and a flow type of thing. But if you have a solid foundation, it's going to withstand that. You're going to be able to work through that, because you're not going to revert back to the, maybe I can't do this, let's put them back in public school, or the mentality of anything else being an option, essentially. So the way I recommend doing this, there are tons of different ways you can do this, so this is not the end all be all, but in my opinion, this is one of the most effective ways to get into this mindset, is to read the book Dumbing Us Down by John Taylor Gatto. I read this book and my mind was blown, and I came from a small town public school that I loved. I absolutely loved going to school. I would do it for free. I would do it if it was for free for my whole life, because I love school so much. And it was really like hard to hear what this book says. He used to be a teacher, many years of teaching under his belt, and wrote this book because he saw the institutionalization of our school system in America specifically, and how it does such a disservice to our students. And he tells so many personal stories that he witnessed, and it's just really like heart-wrenching, honestly. And so I had decided that we were going to homeschool our kids well before I read that book, but I can pretty much guarantee that if you read that book, you will be solid when you say we are making the right decision to homeschool our children, and either from the start or to pull them out of wherever they're at to do so. It would be pretty hard to ignore what he's saying in that book. And so read that book. And if that doesn't do it for you, find other things to just be solid in your conviction to homeschool. And anything else that comes from that is going to be a lot easier to deal with because of it, which will in turn result in a more successful homeschooling experience. My second tip for having a successful homeschool geared towards you guys who are just starting out with this or just deciding if you're going to make that decision, is don't be afraid to take your time to find the curriculum that's right for you. And I know not everybody does curriculum. I know there's unschooling and stuff, so this might not so much apply to you, but if you're wanting curriculum to be part of your homeschool, don't be afraid to take the time to look into it and to make sure that you're choosing what you think will be the best option. It might not end up being the best option, and that's where the second part of this comes into play with don't be afraid to stop something. So going back to putting in the time, let's say you're pulling your kid out of school. You don't need to have all your curriculum at the ready so that the day after their last day of school in the traditional school system, public, private, whatever it is, you're ready to hit the ground running. I promise you, your child is going to be so much further, so much better off in the academic realm at home. And honestly, it's better not to do that. Take a couple months and let them kind of detox from the structure that they've been so accustomed to. If you're just starting out and your kids have never been in public school, don't stress about the time frame. Take a few months and watch YouTube videos, watch flip throughs of different curriculum choices, watch day in the life or do a lesson with me type videos. You can type all of those into the YouTube search bar for the specific subject and grade level that you're looking for and find tons of videos on all of it. And the more you absorb with all of that, the more you're going to know what you think is going to be the right fit for your specific child and how they learn the best. And so take your time to do that. And once you've chosen and once you guys have started into a rhythm with your curriculum choices, and if you find it's not working, if you find that there is pushback, it's a struggle, your child hates what they're doing, they don't like this curriculum, but over here they're fine and you don't understand why, try something different. Put it on the shelf for a little bit, try a different curriculum. A lot of places have sample pages that you can download and kind of try out and see what works, because the curriculum that works for one child is not going to work for the next, and that isn't necessarily just family to family. Like what works for one sibling might not work for the other because everybody's so different. So that is my number 2 tip for how to have a successful homeschool. And then my third tip that I'm going to talk about in this video specifically, I might do a part 2 to this because there's so much more I could say, but my third tip is to teach in all of the different learning styles, but also to figure out what learning style your child has. So learning styles is tip number 3. We've all heard that there are different learning styles. We all know that people learn in different ways, but it's easy to kind of forget that when you are setting up your plan for how you're going to run your homeschool, and to forget that it's important to learn what the best way your child learns so that you can cater to that and have it be as successful as possible. And there are 7 learning styles that you will want to consider when looking into this. They are visual, oral, verbal, physical, logical, social, and solitary. So the first thing I would recommend here for this tip is to Google online learning quiz, basically learning style quizzes, and find one that you think is going to be a good fit for whatever age child you have, and find out what their top learning styles are. Nobody is just one of these things. There are different, like levels. Like this might be the way they learn the best, but then the next best is this. So you want to kind of figure out where their learning styles lie. That's easily done with one of the hundreds of different options online to quiz that. And you can even obviously, your child, so you can obviously figure out what their learning styles probably are. But it's just good to kind of have them do a quiz just to kind of make sure and to confirm that what you think is correct. And then once you know that, definitely cater to that learning style when you're choosing your curriculum. If they are a super hands-on type learner, a physical learner, then you probably aren't going to want to do a lot of curriculum that involves a lot of like reading and worksheets, because it's just not going to click as well as something that's a little more hands-on will be. So that's important, but equally as important, especially if you have more than one child, because they're going to learn in different ways, is to have a mixture of the different learning styles, because the more different variety you have, the more fun your homeschool is going to be. Because no matter how well somebody learns, like my daughter Bailey, for example, she's 8 and she thrives on worksheets. She can just sit and do her worksheets independently for the most part, and she absorbs it and she knows it, and it's insane. I don't know how she does it. I love worksheets too, but even me, like, I need to actually study it and find other ways to help cement what I'm learning in. I can't just do it by a worksheet. She can, and it's amazing. But if she were to sit and do worksheets for every single subject all day long, she would eventually just get bored of it. She would tire out. She would not be learning as efficiently because she wouldn't be having fun anymore. So introducing different ways to teach in all of those learning styles is going to keep it fun. It's going to keep it interesting. It's going to keep your children on their toes and like, okay, what's next? And it's going to ultimately result in a more successful homeschool. So for example, when we're doing a history lesson, the curriculum that we use, which is History Quest by Pandia Press, and there's always an affiliate link in the description for that as well. We absolutely love History Quest, and I would 100% recommend it if you're looking for an elementary history curriculum. Honestly, it could even go into middle school. It's great. It's amazing, and they love it. But it caters to the oral learning style by having different links that you can go to. We can listen to music and songs that kind of help cement in these different concepts. They hear me reading out loud, so it touches on the verbal way of learning as well, because I read the history hops and stuff. And while they're reading, I have them coloring the history page that they're going to use for their history hop travel log page. And so they're coloring, they're using their hands, and they're being more tactile while they're listening to that information. And you can kind of see how it gives that whole different, well-rounded learning style approach to learning. And they retain a lot of information, even Quinn, who's only 6, from the way that history is taught. So those would be my top 3 tips for how to have a successful homeschool if you're just starting out. Leave your ideas down below as well if you are a homeschooler or if you found something that really works for you, because it'll definitely be helpful. You can go read through the comments and see what other people say, and then obviously watch the other videos in the playlist as well. I would also love to know in the comments if you are in this position that I'm talking about, if you've recently decided to start homeschooling, what your story is, if you're on the fence and your kids are still in public school or private school or wherever they may be, and you're toying with the idea of it. I would love to hear your story and to hear if this was helpful to you. But for now, remember to stay humble, be kind, and I will see you next time.